conclusions and next steps. What I'm going to do here now is, for the sake of making sure that you get every single thing in there. Remember I said earlier, I like to go in and I like to communicate the lessons as we go. But I'm going to go through this line by line because I want to recap everything. I know you got great notes and I know you've been paying attention. I know you're excited to get to work on your KPIs. But I want to give you some final thoughts on this before we dive into the next half and we get into the trend boards. Okay, so recaps and takeaways. Align the KPIs with job descriptions and business targets, right? Most people, if you're going to get resistance in someone participating and trying to hit the KPIs, wouldn't you like to get it in the interview process, right? If you're sitting down and you're doing, that's a whole nother thing. If you're interviewing properly, you're interviewing with the job description and you're setting the expectation, and the expectation, you're communicating those KPIs from there. But that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But the point is, make sure that you're having the job description align, your KPIs align with the job description and your business targets. Don't forget about KPIs for your marketing and or call centers, right? If you have call centers or marketing, right? That's another big thing I want to communicate to you, right? One of the things when you're looking at advertising's a very expensive line item for most businesses. There is the anomaly, right? Because we live in the world of social media and there's other things. And even in that case, a lot of your social media, they're spending a lot of money there one way or another, right? So you could be spending a lot of different ways. The point is if you're on social, you might want to trend your editors. Which one of your editors are editing the best videos to get to where you want to go? Which ones are getting the most likes, views, shares, follows, whatever the case may be, whatever trends you want to do. So that's another thing. How are we doing that? The other thing is whatever other marketing you may do. You may want to look at optimizing your marketing. You'll be surprised if you advertise at 5 different sources, you'll find one of them is always the least effective. Sometimes just by cutting that, you get the expense reduction. And at the same point in time, the team automatically, because they're not distracted with the cumbersome, poor source of leads or whatever the case may be, they automatically do better on the other ones. So what happens is you get a total overall lift in performance and an expense reduction. So remember that. I'm just giving you sharing some insight with you that absolutely for certain will happen for you, but I'm just trying to get you to tap into your own businesses and apply this to your own life. Communicate daily use in the KPI tracker in a team huddle. We talked about that. Have that 5 to 15 minute huddle, communicate it on track, off track, who will do what by when today, who's going to coach who, what matters. That's it. The daily KPI tracker attached above will keep a stakeholder informed and communicate with their team, help them identify emerging leaders and or where additional coaching may be needed. One of the big lessons I learned in business was a lot of times I would go and the problems are where my attention went, right? But in that process, some of my best people, my highest valued people, they wouldn't get the praise or recognition, and or I didn't realize they were there for top talent duplication. So I was unable to spot and identify the people who had redeeming qualities that I wanted in the organization, that I could in return take them and have them train new people in the organization to further drive and impact the KPIs. But this will share that with you in the KPIs. So don't forget about that as well. Are your KPIs communicated on a regular basis? Are you providing a framework and coaching for developing future leaders? That's the key thing. If you can identify people that are excelling everywhere, they're right there available to train and coach for top talent duplication within the organization. They're available for that. And also you can give them the praise and recognition that they deserve and ultimately promote them, right? A lot of times in organizations, we look outside to solve our problems when the people that we have, our best people, are right there. They just need a little bit of attention, coaching, and development, and boom, there we are. Actionable steps for participants, right? This is what you're going to do between yourself and your team. And another thing I wouldn't be afraid of, you've already bought, at this point, you've already owned the course. You already have the course in your possession. Sit down and share the course with your team, because what you're going to get out of this course the second time is going to be even greater. And at the same point in time, I think I tell the whole story for you to get your team's buy-in. So what I would suggest you do, my easy thing is you as the leader sit there in the room because you say, hey, this matters. Right? You don't go say, hey, watch these slides, or you assign them. You bring everybody in the room and you sit down and you watch them again, because your presence by being there says that this matters, right? A lot of times people are like, oh, I told them to watch it. I gave it to them to watch, but you as the leader didn't say it mattered. You walked out of the room. So if you do these little techniques, I'm telling you, these little techniques, like I said in the beginning of this, when we went in there, I'm going to save you decades. That technique right there will save you a decade, right? If you don't understand it now, you need to lean into it and figure it out. So identify the most important 5 to 15 KPIs that are going to have the greatest impact. Get with your team and figure that out. Remember, you can trend anything you want. You have as many KPIs as you want, but it's best to start with 5 to 15 because what gets measured gets managed and what we pay attention to improves. Complete the daily KPI tracker and share it with the team, right? Make sure you're getting that daily KPI tracker and share it with the people that are going to do the work. To look at the numbers and for the people that have the impact on the KPIs to not be involved in it, you don't get the impact of it. So make sure you're having the meeting and you're communicating with them. Daily huddles, no more than 15 minutes. Publicly praise teammates for hitting their targets, right? Positive peer pressure is great, and I love public recognition because nothing feels better. Maybe you came in, you had a late night, maybe you had an off day the day before, whatever the case may be, or maybe you've been working hard and you finally had a good 3 days in a row, but either which way, getting that praise and recognition. Remember, as leaders, what do we want to do? We want to praise successful actions so they duplicate. We never want to reward negative actions so they duplicate, right? So the thing is at the same point in time, if we have positive actions and we don't praise them, why would they duplicate? So don't be afraid. Don't give out praise on false merit, but don't be afraid to do it. That's why you have the KPI tracker. You hit your numbers, good job. You didn't? Okay, let's get it. It's very matter of fact, and it's the same rules for everybody, right? And just having that level playing field in the organization immediately fosters a more engaged team because they know that if they do the right thing, there's no favorites. It's just strictly no emotion by the numbers. Identify low producers and provide additional coaching when necessary, right? The greatest gift to a team is an A player, right? A players love other A players. You know the worst thing you can give a team? C player. A players that are forced to work with C players, you know what they do, don't you? They ultimately find a place to go work where A players work, right? So either which way, identify those low producers, create that standard we were talking about, create that culture we were talking about, and go in there and say, hey, this is what we need to do. This is what the program is. We need to make sure that here, let's get you additional coaching. Do you have the training curriculum, right? Maybe some of you don't have the actual curriculum that you need within your business and you're blaming it on the individual, right? This is a really big thing seen without most industries, right? And that's a whole nother topic too. But the thing is do you have the correct curriculum or is your leadership team working with the individual to use it? If you don't have the curriculum, the chances are the reason why you don't is you're either an early entrepreneur and you don't know, or B, you're an entrepreneur that hasn't set the standard and you can't implement it, right? But either which way, neither one of those matter. What matters is that's another opportunity for you, right? Collaborate with teammates while establishing KPIs to have buy-in, right? So we know that, we went through that. Make sure you get them in there and have their KPIs. So listen, we just went over the KPI. We went over KPIs today. We went over every single thing that you need to do. At this point, I hope you're really excited and you have a clear picture. Like I said, don't be afraid to go back through and watch it again. And most importantly, if you get your team involved and have them do it, okay? The bottom line is you should be armed with something new that you haven't been doing in your business, okay? And more importantly, it's revenue and profitable activities. It's all about the things. The KPIs, the biggest areas of impact for them are the areas with the people, the profit, right? And your processes, right? So that's the biggest area for them. So either which way, thank you very much. Let's go ahead and dive into, now we're going to get into my personal favorite. This is one of my favorite things. And anything as we get ready to segue into that, I love doing a 13-week trend. And when I get into this, I can go for days on this topic. So because it's been instrumental in me. But thank you so much. Let's go ahead and dive into the next part.